Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Anfisa and I'm a birth doula. I'm a breastfeeding consultant and a yoga therapist. I help women and their partners to prepare for birth, and I help them during birth. Also, I help them to recover after birth. And I started recently to offer some of my services online. I've created this birth preparation course, which consists of a few components. A component to prepare a woman for birth physically, which includes yoga and different exercise. Also, I have a part of evidence-based, reliable information so that women can make informed choices during their childbirth, during their pregnancy. And also, I have this part where women can be inspired and where they can see different ways of understanding birth. And this podcast will be one of this part that will be an inspirational component. And I'm really excited to share this podcast with you because I have very special guest. Her name is Yasnaya Maximo. She is a birth doula and so many more. She is a birth professional in many levels. She is a breastfeeding consultant as well, placenta encapsulator, and so many more. A part of that, she has natural birth experience herself. She has 2 sons that were born at home, and I'm really excited and I'm really looking forward to hear these birth stories because I didn't hear them before. Also, in this podcast, as a doula, I will ask her to share what women that seek for natural birth has to focus on in her preparation for birth. I hope you will enjoy it. Okay, hello Yasnaya.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Let's start a little bit with your personal introduction. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you become a doula?
Sure. Well, I have this Russian name, Ясная Поляны, which is not really a name. It's a kind of shiny, but you can short this to Yas. And the way I became a doula, well, I had 2 kids born at home back in Holland, where I lived at the time. I moved to Holland when I was 34 weeks pregnant and ended up having a baby in a houseboat.
Wow.
It was a wonderful experience with a local midwife. So that really fascinated me. I had the feeling that I was on top of the world, and that really helped me. That was wonderful. It was a good start into motherhood and to experience that power. And 4 years later, I had another baby, also in Holland. I was born in Brazil. Grew up there, lived in many countries, and ended up in Holland. I come from a family where women give a lot of births. My grandmother had 14 kids at home.
Wow.
Yeah. So I knew that I could do it. So I had the feeling that it was not something that was alien to me. Somewhere there, I had that gene, I had that power as well. So when my time came, I was a busy woman. I really didn't prepare that much at the time. I thought it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
And pretty much what happened. Of course, being the first time, you always don't know how it's going to be. But went really well. And some events, because no birth is simple. Every birth is different, special, unique, has different things happening to it. So my first child came quite in a regular, long labor, so say 20 hours.
20 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which, it's not that long, right? No. And my second one came 4 years later, and that was a much faster birth, and I had ideas how I wanted that exactly to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I made choices.
Because already you knew, and then,
Exactly.
Yeah. And what before giving birth second time, did you have in mind particular things that you want? Like some kind of, atmosphere or people or...
Yeah.
So,
Yes, I knew that I could do it, and I want to do alone. I didn't want to, I want to less, because I had a very good midwife the first time around, but I felt that she was managing a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I thought that should be my role.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And also for the second time around, I want my first one to be there.
Okay.
So and then I had to myself, I said, well, this time is going to be my last time, and I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah. And then I also had in my mind that I would make much less noise. I wanted to that work to be much more internal, to happen inside, that I didn't need to let the whole world know about it. So I want less noise, less screaming, less talking, everything. I wanted to be more inside. So that's two things I wanted very clearly. But the guy was earlier, he was 9 days earlier, so he came very kind of like, yes, I'm coming today. Wow. And I told my husband I'll go to work.
How many hours was the second?
Well, I would say in the morning I was feeling a bit uncomfortable, but to be honest, the active labor went really fast. So early morning, around 8 o'clock, I was already feeling the waves coming, going. I was into it. But when the midwife came to check on me, I was 2 centimeters in. That was 1 o'clock in the afternoon when my waters broke. But the time she left, 20 minutes later, didn't take long. I think 1 hour, less than 1.5 hours later, he was born. So
you really needed to be alone.
I needed to be alone. Yes. She was a very young midwife, bless her, but I didn't really want her there. Yeah. So active labor was fast and furious, and and he came and he had the cord around the neck twice, and he was fine, and he's a very active 8 years old now, and it was a different birth in a sense that I felt that I could do as any woman can do by herself, I could do by myself. I didn't need so much around me, or even less than before, someone suggesting what to do or not. I really went what my body was telling me to do.
And what do you remember what exactly you were kind of doing? Were you like on the floor, or what do you feel like to do?
I was moving all the time. We had this old house in Amsterdam where I could swing a big rope. I had like 4 meter long piece of fabric, so I swung rope on the beam of the house, and then I was hanging from that. What you can do at home as well, for a rebozo or a piece of cloth. So I was hanging and swinging, and one of the swinging, my water just go, psh, was a big splash. Amazing. So I did that many times. It really helped me, because you stretch your arms, stretch your ligaments and everything, so you can really relax as well. But I was moving a lot, because my water had broken. The midwife said, no, it's better if you don't go in the bath. And I was like, ugh. Anyway, so I used the shower. I remember walking. I could not sit down. That was there was one moment, and that was the only really intense surge that I had, that I really felt, that's a change. And it was so intense, I was on the floor of the bathroom, all fours, and I felt that I couldn't get up anymore. But then the wave went, and up I was. I went up again, and then again came another one, but it was no so intense anymore. And I remember telling my husband at a certain point, where's the midwife? And I said to him, I feel like pushing. And he had this silence for, let's say, 10 seconds.
Like, what?
And then he said very quietly, you can push then.
Okay, well done.
And then that's it. And then I took some big breaths, and then I pushed. And then the head was out. And I went on the floor, and a few seconds later the midwife rang the door. So it was kind of like something that could go in a film, right? But it happened like that. And one thing that was very different from my first birth, that I think made a huge difference, is that I didn't push to make the baby go through the birth canal.
Okay.
I just pushed when I felt the baby was there. And it's something that I always tell women to do. You don't have to push. You don't have to do this forced pushing, strain yourself, get exhausted. There's no need for that.
Just wait until the...
Wait the baby to come down. You can go, it's intense, yes, but you get tired if you push. Let the baby do the job that needs to be done. What I call the passive descent, when the baby, do the rotation through the pelvis alone, without you interfering, without you putting effort on that. And that will happen anyway. Yeah, and then you can get less tired as well. So that was my second one, and and then felt very different because the next day, when you push, the next day you're very sore. Yeah. But when you don't, the next day you're perfect.
Really?
Yes.
The next day?
Yes.
Wow.
You don't feel so much like your crouch doesn't hurt anymore. The healing is much faster. You feel much more mobile. So yes. And I have to say, positioning as well. The first time I gave birth in the birth stool, and the second one I did an all fours on the floor, and that's a much better position. Mm-hmm. I felt much better.
Okay.
Yes.
It's more natural. More
that's what my body went for.
Yeah.
I went from standing to all fours, and that felt very right.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so, how after giving birth? So before you're having your children, you were not yet a doula, right?
Not at all.
Did you think ever about becoming a doula, or it came after?
No, after my first one, I thought about becoming a doula, but that was back in 2007, and then I had a corporate job, so I couldn't see how I would make, a living wage as a doula at the time. It was at the very start. I met another doula in Amsterdam at the time, but I just had a job, and that's what I did. My background's in law, and I worked for companies, so I was used to that 9-to-5 mentality. But I had, during this period between the first child and the second child, I had so many friends of friends, my husband's work colleagues calling me to talk about birth. And I was telling always them, you can do it. That's how it does. You can do that way. You can do this way. And then at the same time, I was studying. I remember buying books. A book that I really recommend, the Thinking Woman Guide for a Better Birth. Mm-hmm. That came much late into my life, before I had my second one. And I wish every woman get a copy and read it, before having a baby, so she knows her options.
I can make a link to this book.
Exactly, it's a good one. Yeah. And Ina May, Ina May's huge inspiration. She has a no-nonsense approach to things, and you can do it. You're a woman, you nourish a baby, you grow a baby, you can push this baby out. Yeah. And then I felt that I could support women, but my mind was not there yet. But after my second one, I had always this feeling that I want to feel this power again. And also I was about 38, 39 when I had my second one, so I knew I was not going to have a lot of kids after, probably no more. And so I had this passion in me, and my birth was really, really good. And after that, although I had another job after this, at a certain point I just dropped it. And then I had to do a bit of soul searching as well. Yeah. And then finally I did the doula training. Mm-hmm. It's funny because that coincided as well when I had some gallbladder issues. So I had a gallbladder issues that I couldn't really fix naturally. And I was breastfeeding, so I waited almost 2 years so I could operate. And then I had this operation booked, and then the woman calls me, we're having a doula training, do you like to come? Oh, and then I said, I do, but is that 5 days after I have a gallbladder operation? She said, see how you feel. So then I went 5 days after my operation. I was delicate, to say the least. I was in pain, I was uncomfortable, but I went, and it's also to be in a circle of like-minded women, and it was beautiful. And after 3 days, I just went for it, and very quickly things started to happening. Friends of friends are saying, "Oh, she's trying to be a doula," and I started having student clients, and very quickly I did my 3 student births. Yeah. And the first ever birth as attended as a doula was a woman that lived very close to me, friend of a friend, second child. She was 43 at the time, and she called me. The husband called me very late, and then come, you should come now. So I went, and then when I got there, he said to me, "I think she's in transition." And then I could hear this woman at the top of the stairs, like, "Ah!" And I just thought, that's not transition anymore. So I went upstairs, and it was this beautiful early morning. The room was all blue. This woman was in all fours, and this baby was coming. And the midwife wasn't there.
Wow.
So I just asked him, "Can you get some towels?" And I put it under her, and I said to him, "Come sit with us." And this baby came out beautifully in a cowl, in the sack. And there was a wonderful start of my doula life.
Yeah, it's like initiation.
It was like, wow, I know. And if that's not the right thing for me, I don't know what's going to be.
Yeah.
So, and I remember just guiding the baby out. And then when he was born, I said to the mommy, "You can get your baby." And she got it. It was beautiful. Of course, as a doula, not every birth is like that. Sometimes births go in a different way.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with that as well. You have to support the mother anyway. But it was a very, very good start.
Yeah.
So after that, and then 6 months later, do the second part of the training, and then went from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing story.
It's very nice.
I didn't heard that story.
No,
That's
I didn't tell you.
interesting.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, good. So you finished your training, yeah, and so did you start to work as a doula right away, or was it like, how did you decide to stop your job in law? Like you were a lawyer, right?
Yeah, but at the time I was working as a headhunter for legal and financial.
All right.
Yeah, so I stopped. I was on contract, so I eventually stopped it. And then I had, between my two trainings, I had like 8 births, and then I started having regular clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
In
Amsterdam. Yes.
Yeah.
Amsterdam has a wonderful culture of home birth. The midwives there are excellent professionals. They're well trained, very supportive, very women-centered.
Yeah.
But also, the culture of pain relief is growing very much. So women tend to go to hospital just in case they need pain relief. And of course, there is also the fear of something going wrong in home birth.
Yeah.
But women that birth at home, they're very low risk, and having a good, qualified professional, experienced professional attending your birth that will be acting if anything's needed is very important, and that fortunately we have in Amsterdam. But also the system there is very, because supportive of women, they're also supportive of women having doulas. So you work with many midwives, you work with doulas, you do your hospital observations and internships, you internship with midwives as well. So you're exposed to different kinds of birth. Yes,
exactly.
you're allowed to go in a room, a C-section, with your client. So you learn a lot from the professionals.
It's really great.
So not always perfect, but it's quite a good place to be a doula as well. Yeah. And then you find all types of doulas there as well. From anything that you like.
Hippie and spiritual.
From the stereotype hippie doula to that almost clinical doula, so to say. So you have everything under the sun that will match with the right woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I have options. Yes. All right. So for women who, seeking for some more natural birth, who really inspired of the idea, not maybe home birth, but just go through this experience without interventions, what would you recommend to pay attention while they still preparing for the birth? Either it's first or second or VBAC. What would you think?
Well, one thing that's very important is to understand, is to educate yourself, and how the hormones play a role during labor. If you all understand how delicate is the process, how to produce the hormones and how every single of them works during labor and birth, And then we will understand much better what we need to do, why we need to be in a quiet space, why we need to be supported that way, why we need to have a care provider that is supportive and has the same approach for birth that you want to have it. So all these things are important. But educating yourself is, I think, is number one. Because if you don't make a choice, your care provider will make for you. So you need to know what's right for you. That's the number one thing.
Right.
And you can get a lot of information. You know, there's a lot of evidence-based. There is also things that are right for you. And if that choice is right for you, please go for it.
Yeah.
So educate yourself is number one. And educate your partner, because the person that will be there with you during birth needs also to know. And if you both of you have mutual understanding, what do you want for this birth, it's much easier.
Yeah.
And then you can have fully trust that he or she can be your voice during labor and birth, because comes a time you don't talk so much anymore anyway.
Right.
And the second one, I would say, is the emotional part. We carry a lot of things with us. Sometimes it's family dynamics, sometimes relationship dynamics that you need to work, and you need to let it go. If you have expectations how this birth is supposed to be or go, you also need to let it go. You make your wish to the universe, I want my birth to be that way, and you go in that direction. But you need to, at the same time, be free enough to accept things that might change. And when you free yourself, when you examine every different scenario, you can let it go.
Yeah.
And not having no expectations will allow you to truly enjoy the experience. Doesn't matter if a birth goes one way, the other, or totally different one. But it's meeting your baby. Birth is meeting your baby. And once you meet your baby, maybe the journey, the path that you went through becomes less important. So let go of expectations. Yes. Some women, they want to have a total medicated birth and they have a fast birth.
Mm-hmm.
Some women, they want to have a completely natural, unmedicated birth, and they go and have all these complications that they cannot avoid. So let go of expectations and work on your emotions. What bothers you, which fears that you have, what's concerns. Is your friend telling horror stories? You know, you have to protect yourself. I remember when I was pregnant with my first one, I had a friend, she had a less than optimal birth in London, and she was traumatized. But when she told me the whole story, I was just thinking, there were so many, details like family dynamics between husband and mother, her fears, her long labor, they didn't understand the process, and they had this very, very long labor that was very bad for her. And I didn't want my story to go like that. And that's something very clear in my mind. So my wish for the universe is like, my birth is going to be different. I don't want to have this birth.
Yeah.
But you never know when things are going to change, and then you let go of expectations. And work on your emotions. If your relationship is going through a different stage, work on it. If you're carrying a lot of emotions, if you're stressed with work, all these things you have to let go. Especially when it comes closer to the birth, you have to try to connect to your baby as much as possible. Because when birth starts, and that connection will be the most important one, and you need to go with it.
Yeah. Just
you and your baby. Other things that are important is keep active, eat well, practice some kind of relaxation technique. Maybe you can do yoga, you can do mindfulness, you can just sit down and breathing, with a cup of tea, anything that clears your mind, and that will be good for you. To go to this blank point where you're not worried about anything, you just feel your baby moving and you feel your body's relaxing. That will help you a lot. If you're in a place of safety, that you feel calm, because you're going to need to go to this place many times during labor, to calm down, relax, and be there. That everything's okay, you're safe, you're loved. Stay there. So I'll say these three things. would help you to prepare for your birth.
That's
You can
nice.
add anything that you want. You can add courses, trainings, specific exercise, whatever you like. But
Yeah, that's good points, I guess. And do you remember? Have you been practicing some kind of activities before your second son or first?
I don't think I practiced too much for my second son. I wasn't being an active person in terms of walking around, but I was also working full time for my second. It's something that I didn't want it. I always said to myself, if I ever have a second child, I don't want to work during my pregnancy. But I didn't have a choice, like many women, they don't.
Yeah.
So I was even working outside Amsterdam, so I had 1 hour commuting each way every day.
Wow.
In the winter. So, but women are very resilient. And you can do it. I felt that this is gonna kill me, but no, I could do it, and I felt a lot more energy. I tried to eat better in the morning, and I had this really, really huge belly. I had a lot of fluid, and my midwife used to call royal buik, like a royal belly, like a huge belly. So I looked bigger than farther than the pregnancy than I really was, but. But I think if you can go to the gym, you can do a lot of things that you want, but sometimes you don't need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
What's important is when the moment comes that you can go into it.
Yeah.
That will help you. Yes. And sometimes if you prepare too much, you have I want to do this time and this one and this and that. That might get into the way as well. It's good to have someone that will guide you, perhaps, and remind you things that you can do, but I don't put so much pressure on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. That's true.
It's important that when birth starts to happen, that you can switch off whatever is around you, and you can concentrate on what is important now.
Yeah.
Because birth is a moment. Every single surge, every single contraction is just a moment that will go away, and then comes another one, and you just have to deal with it at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's how you take it.
Yeah, one by one.
One
Nice.
by one at a time.
That's good advice. Okay, let me quickly check if it's all recording good.
My voice is horrible to hear.
No. So let's talk about women who, again, decided not to use any epidural, any kind of pain management. What would help them to go through sensations, especially if it's long labor. What maybe helped you or helps your client to anchor and to not stress out and to not add more fear?
First, we focus too much on the pain of labor.
Yeah.
It's too much
Everybody
focus
is,
on that, and it's just a part of it. And then pain it's related to injury, to suffering, and birth is nothing like that. Birth is not injury, right? Birth is a normal function of your birth. It's another physiological process. So in between going for a poo and making love, birth is there somewhere. Yeah, it's another
Right.
function of your body. So you're doing that for the first time. Yes, it's new. Yes, it's different. It's intense. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need to be that painful.
Okay.
And also, what I also say for labor and pain is you're contracting, you get tight and smaller and suffering. No, it's the opposite. You're expanding, you're growing, you're blooming out. Your belly is growing. You're opening up to pass this small human being. So first of all, it's to change how you talk about labor. You can say labor because it's intense, takes time, takes energy, but it doesn't need to be painful. And you can start by change the way you approach that. You can talk about intensity, power, rushes, whatever you can use as words for that. You can change, and that helps you to see in a different light. Everybody tells you it's, let's say, for example, you never made love. And someone tells you that's going to be horrible, it's going to be sweaty, quick, smelly, and you're not going to like it, right? But you find a very good lover that is calm and patient and caresses you and takes the time, and hello, you might enjoy it. So, try your own experience. Try to see there's other ways. Your body responds what your brain thinks. So if you think, oh, it's going to be horrible, big chances that it will be. So if you can see it in a different light, you can see what's happening to your body, how your hormones are working, and you might also concentrate on these things rather than just the muscle work. And if you can leave your uterus to do the job alone and let the whole part of your body, the rest, to relax, then you don't have so much muscle exhaustion. That's what really gets some mothers. They tense up every time they have a surge, they have a contraction, and the whole body goes with it. And of course, after a few hours, they are absolutely tired. So you have to pace yourself. You have to let it go when the waves are gone, when the contraction is gone. You close your eyes and you relax, and then you read and you breathe, because oxygen is fuel for your muscles, and then helps you to also reduce the adrenaline by breathing calmly and giving oxygen to your muscles and to relax your body.
Yeah.
So if a mother is in labor and finds very intense, first let's see what position she is. Let's change position. Can she walk? Can she go for the shower? Shower is an amazing, the water is an amazing tool that you can have. Warm water really relaxes us. If the mother doesn't want to go to the water, there's other things that she can do. As I mentioned before, you can hang something from the ceiling or from a door, and she can use the cloth and hang from it, and that will help her to take the pressure from her hips and legs. And then she can use her arms during the surges, so things can help as well. But mostly, what it can do is in the head, actually. How she's feeling at the moment. Is there any emotions that are getting into the way? If she's worried, if there's any reason she's worried, is any complication that is worrying her, if she's has any past trauma, all these things. So you try to clear the mind of the mother, reassure her, tell her that she's safe, she's doing well, birth is like that, and she's really going with it. And then make sure that Heka is treating her well, that she's respected, she's feeling special that day. Her requests are respected as well. So all these things are important. So walking, water, the emotional parts, there is massage that you can do. Touching is essential to promote oxytocin. And also, when the surge is out, close her eyes, let her go in, because the endorphins that are released after every single surgery will make the mother quite sleepy, and that's a time of recovery. So when she closes her eyes and she's gone for these few minutes, she gets a deep relaxation. It's almost like a yoga nidra. She can really switch off. And then, women, they're very capable to do that. When you have the exact flow, oxytocin, endorphins coming after every single contraction, so they can switch off and rest. It's very important to break the cycle of fear, tension, pain. So by caring for the emotions, by making sure that she's feeling her body is relaxed, and that she'll feel less pain. Yes. Sometimes the mother get really overwhelmed by active labor when things start getting regular and very intense. She feels that, but you always give the mother time and say, if she doesn't want pain management, but she's asking for it, and her wish is not to have it, so you slow things down and ask her, talk to her, and let's see if she can do 2 or 3 more, and how she feels after. And you breathing with the mother, calm her down, don't let her get in a place where she feels a bit of panic. By saying that, let her verbalize whatever she wants. Let her scream, shout, say whatever she likes, but at the same time you can comfort her by just being there, being close to her, or touching her, or holding her hand, that she can find her breathing again, and she can go. Sometimes it's just like walking in hills, and then you find a big hill in front of you that you don't think you can climb. But if you have someone that helps you pulling your hands up, and then you get up there, and then you can do a little bit more, but then comes another big hill, and then you found very difficult, but again, you can do it. It's hard. It's going to be mentally hard to go all the way up.
Yeah.
But the view on the top is fantastic.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's funny because I didn't have experience of birth, but I did experience climbing.
Yes.
Which was very challenging.
Yes.
Like almost until like I want to just stay here. I don't want to move anymore because
Yes.
it's hard. And I remember I had two partners with me. One was the guide, and one was my boyfriend. And my boyfriend was really stupid, acting like a bad birth partner, And the guide was so supportive, like really, as you said, as a doula, as a doula. And it really helps, though you still walking yourself. In a birth, you're doing it yourself, but there is somebody who can. Yeah, it's really important, I think.
Yes, that's what you needed. You see all these blokes going all the way up to the Everest. Some die on the way, but they don't want to come back. They want to get there. And we have this whole process happening inside us. And you don't want to stop. It's, the moment of birth is fantastic. For some, it's the highest point that you get in your life. You have this explosion of oxytocin and endorphins in your body. It's a moment of pure joy. I call it the confetti moment. And why not? Why not to get there? It's beautiful. And receiving your baby, this person that you have been preparing to meet for this time. It's So sometimes as well during labor, we think that we just stay in labor. We don't see the end anymore.
Yeah.
And that's
as a doula sometimes as well.
And that's important because that's what you need to be. You don't need to be so much worried about the final line. Just stay where you are. If you think that's going to take forever and you can keep doing that, that's okay as well. Yes, and that's where you need to be. You need to be present, not trying to escape, not trying to get to the end. You need to be in the present, and soon the baby will come. So not try to hurry the process, not by medication, not mentally as well. It's just about staying where you are, and that's okay. Yeah.
Sounds like a personal development marathon, like a marathon of your emotions and mind, that just staying there without rushing things.
And it's funny because sometimes women during labor, we think, in our mind, it's so noisy. We have so many things going on, and then the feelings, the emotions, the explosions of hormones, and there's a lot of things going on in your mind, but you're not verbal anymore. You don't have a conversation anymore. Sometimes you make noises, sometimes you scream, sometimes you even sing, but there's a lot of things happening in the head. It's a whole world apart. And then that's what you need to be. Sometimes you see these videos of these women super calm. There's a lot of things going on inside, a lot. But it's all internal work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, just let me make a little break. And maybe we can... Okay, now let's talk about some practical advice for people who will support mother during labor. Her mother, her sister, or maybe her husband. Just some tools that they can use.
Okay, if the mother is in active labor, normally she's a little bit more introspective. She's go much quiet, contractions are longer, resting periods are shorter. So I would say if you're going to do something on her, do when she has a pause, when she's resting.
Yeah.
And then you can very gently touch her. I always touch her first on the clothes. If she has any, let's say the bra at least, touch on the bra, see how her body reacts. From there, you know if she's receptive to touch or not. And then you can touch her. And you can touch her lightly or you can touch her firmly. You see what she feels like. Again, she might not be able to say, oh, that's good, or stop. But you see if her body is relaxed or not. If she's tensing up, take the hand away. Yes? And words. And when she's resting, you offer her some water or invite her to go to the toilet. And then you can say good things to her, you're doing so well. That's a good time to talk. She's not going to respond, but you can, feed her with love and reassurance and motivation and tell her our baby's coming. Your baby's coming very soon. You're doing so good. You're beautiful to see. Tell her things that you think she would love to hear. Yeah, just tell her I love you. Keep her up. Everything that you say that is positive and lovely will increase her oxytocin. Yeah. So you can give this to her. Yes. Physically, what can you do? If she's doing a specific, she's in a surge and then she feels a lot of pressure on her back, you can give her good counter pressure. And you do that by putting your hands and shifting your weight onto her body. And you do that and you see again if she's receptive, how much weight can you put it. Some women, they enjoy it and they want to have a lot of counter pressure, others they don't. So see what is right for the mother. Sometimes it's really in the lower back, sometimes a little higher up, you see what's right. Sometimes you can do hip press, which consists of put your hands on each side of the pelvis and around the cheeks, and then give a little squeeze. And again, you can increase the pressure or let it go as the mother wants. That's things you do during the surges, during the contractions. That will help her, especially if it's an active part of labor. You can also use a rebozo, which is a piece of cloth, and then you can wrap around the mother hips, and she can be standing or she can be in all fours, and from there you can give a little bit of a shake, very gently. You don't want to do very abrupt movements. You just want gentle shakes. That will help her if she feels. Again, you see if she's receptive. If she's not, there's little they can do. Normally, when the labor progresses, the mother tends to not want to be touched that much. Varies from women to women. And definitely, some don't like to be touched during the contractions. So you always do that in between and see what she wants to do. Other things. If she's going through a long descent stage, it takes a long time for the baby to come down, make her walk around, make her to squat, close to the bed, use a birth ball. Squatting really helps. If the water has not been broken yet, you add an extra pressure when the mother do. Just make sure that when the mother squats, the feet is fully on the floor and it's parallel. It's not out, it's not pointed in. It's parallel, so her pelvis in a neutral position. Right. Yes. So you can go with her. Some find the first time they do squatting very intense, but it helps when they do the second time. They found a lot of release. So you see if they enjoy it, and some like to do it. So that works really well in active phase of labor. For the partner, he can help her by holding her. So you'd face the mother, hold her arms, and she would hold his arms, and then they can do a deep squatting together. He can dance with the mother. He can just stand and she can swing from side to side if that helps her. Sometimes the mother needs a bit of nipple stimulation and she's tired or she doesn't want it, so the husband can do, the partner can do for her as well. And there's some points around the body that at that stage can be really helpful. So I recommend that you look for acupressure points for labor and birth. I think from Deborah Brett's, and you can find these online. I will give you the link. There are safe points that you can help you during labor. The most common ones are the hebo points on the hand and then on the back of your pelvis. To press that. So it's something that can help as well.
Nice.
Let me see. For more things. It's also what the husband tells, the partner tells the mother. when the mother normally they feel they cannot do anymore, they're very close to the birth, the baby's very close to come. So as a doula, I always say to the father, tell her what you see, tell her how she's progressing. And then his voice or her voice, whatever is the partner, it's the one that brings the good news. And that's very important for the mother, that she hears from the person that she loves that's what's happening. Rather than from the doula or from the doctor.
Exactly.
It makes a huge difference.
Thing,
because it's the labor, the birth is between them, right? And birth is a verb, so the mother should birth the baby and then enjoy it as well. Yes. So there's many things that a partner can do. Some are very physical and quite difficult to explain, but I would say less is more.
Okay.
It's more about being this warm presence, safe presence to the mother than doing 1,000 of things.
Which for men sometimes is hard to do.
It's hard, exactly. It's to find yourself in a very calm state of mind. If you can be calm and supportive and present, that's what they want. You don't need to do 1,000 things. If it helps you to have a little list of things to bring back what you can do, that can be as well, like a cheat list, and then you can, I can do this, I can do that. So there's many things that you could do.
Checklists are good.
You can try it.
I have some fathers love it.
Yes.
Like, okay, here is what I can do.
Because it's really much more organized there. Helps them to relax.
Kind of control a little bit. Like kind of have a sense of that, like have a sense of that what can I do, a little bit of powerful encouragement. Okay.
I always say that I'm not in the business of supporting birth. I'm in the business of empowering women. I want women to be happy as mothers as well. I want them to have wonderful, positive births. I want them to feel that they had the best day of their lives. So they have achieved something that is unique for them. And that's what I want. I want women to be. And then when you have a good start in motherhood, when you have a good birth, it's much easier. It becomes easier. You don't have to. You have to fight less, because motherhood is a long life job that takes a lot of you. So if you have a good start, great. Sometimes not so much, but life can always. You can fix on the way in life. But my wish is every woman has an amazing birth. Come and feel like, eyes shining and full of hormones of happiness, exploding love. That's my wish for every single woman. That's what I like to do.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you for
my
this
pleasure.
Story.
Yes.
Thank you, Yasna. It was a great pleasure having you in this podcast. Thank you for sharing these amazing tips and your personal experience. And thank you guys for listening, and I hope that was useful for you. I'll see you in my next podcasts or videos. If you have any questions, please email me or write me in Instagram, and I'll share with you my email address and Instagram address now at the screen.